Welcome back. We're still with the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator Pius Anyim. Thank you for joining us once again. Well, of course, we know of this issue of the Shaw P, and a lot of people thinking, or this word now that it wasn't a fruitful project, so to speak. What exactly do you think of this?
Well, the Shaw P program is running on a life of its own. Life of its own. Just like you also know that the pump price of petroleum products had come down. It's also like more or less running on a life of its own. And it tells you that this is the outcome of proper planning. So when you put 1 + 1 together, you get 2. The price of crude oil was quite high, and government says, okay, let's reduce subsidy a little and harvest the product of the subsidy. Let's harvest the product of that subsidy and apply it to other sectors that will now give the ordinary citizen, a kind of a social advantage. Now that the oil price is, the crude price is coming quite low. Naturally, the same government, in its sensitivity, had, of course, brought the pump price low, because the cost of the final product, of course, will come naturally low.
Well, even though some people think it's not as low as it's supposed to be?
We are responding to it as it comes. People may have the expectations, but once it is necessary to come down a little more, we will do the same. So, but I think the point we want to make is that everybody must know that government is responsive. And whenever we think it's necessary, we come in. Now, for Shaw P, naturally, is when you have that savings, you apply the savings. Now, if the savings reduces, the quantum of funds in the fund will also reduce. But it's really not a matter of whether we wish or we want to or not want. It's running on a life of its own. But the principle remains the same. The policy remains the same. Once we have savings, we apply it. If we don't have savings, everybody knows.
So you think it should continue in spite of the fact that oil prices?
But it runs on a natural plane. We are not doing anything, either taking it out or keeping it or whatever, but it will continue to run on its own. If the pump price goes up and we have more savings, you have more money in it. If you continue to go down and we have no much savings, everybody will know that we have no savings in it.
All right, now to the education sector. What's your take on the Presidential Special Scholarship Scheme for Innovation and Development?
Well, let me say that when the president came up with that idea, it was one. In fact, it can only take Mr. President to come up with such an idea. One, he has the experience as a teacher, he had the experience as a governor and all that, so he had interface, he understands the country. But when he came up with that idea, I think his major focus was that, look, if we continue the way we are going, we'll get to a point that we won't even have people in the research centers, in the research institutions. We may get to a point that we won't even have some people in the universities to teach. We may not even have people to conduct research in this country. He said, look, we should be able to harvest our best brains and expose them to research work. So it took some of us a lot of time to appreciate where he was going, and eventually the program started. We are on the 3rd batch now. The first batch, it took 100 plus about 101. The second batch, about 104. And the 3rd batch that is in process now, also a little above 100. And I can tell you it had been most successful. And it takes the students from master's to PhD levels, and is available within the 25 best universities in the world. The NUC works with them, the PTDF works with them, the TED Fund works with them. The students will work with NUC to get the admission, and everything is fast-tracked, finalized. And the first batch, I think, is only 11 students that had not actually gotten admission. And it had been most successful. The idea is, in the next 2 years, you have a crop of Nigerians that have been so exposed to research that they can come back and put their lives on it. And the idea is that our research institutions will now be more properly attractive to them. The universities will also be attractive to them. And they will interface, and you now see people who can settle down in the universities and in the research institutions to actually work, without which we will lose our future. And that is certainly what the president is intending to secure. And that I can say that apart from that, he also has another program that he generated somehow like this. I'm not sure many people know about that one. The Junior Professionals Program with the UN, where a crop of Nigerians, a number of them, are engaged every year to work on attachment with the UN. And from that process, they will be absorbed into the UN system. And that program, I think again, we're on the third phase now. The idea is that in the next few years, you will have a number of Nigerians in the UN system. And it will not only provide employment opportunities in the immediate, of course, the long-term benefit will be huge.
So now what has happened to the recommendation many people seem to ask of the national conference?
Immediately after the conference, and the president had, even in his first New Year message, had reassured the country that he will implement the recommendations of the conference. Immediately after the conference, we set up a committee to work out the modalities for the implementation, and we're on it. And it's every commitment. The government is committed in every sense of it to implementing the recommendations of the conference.
All right, that's as much as we can take. Thank you so much, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Thank you for coming on Dateline Abuja. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for your comments. You can share your views and experiences with us using the address and Twitter handle on your screen. Make your views known on the program. You can also let us know anything happening within your area, especially if you're within the Federal Capital Territory. Don't you forget to include your name and your location. And view the program on youtube.com/channelsweb/videos. You can make your comments after viewing the current video as well as older episodes of the program. Well, thank you so much for watching this week. I'm Gloria Umezuki. See you again.